It's the oldest independently owned bike shop in Colorado Springs. They sell every kind of bike and are known for great service. But what makes this shop so special is how much they have contributed to our community of cycling in Colorado Springs over the years. We are talking about none other than Ted's Bike Shop in Colorado Springs, and with owner Tony Havich coming up next on Pedal the Springs. From the Studio 809 Community Podcast Studio at the Next Us, a professional cooperative environment for small businesses in downtown Colorado Springs. Welcome and roll on in to the Pedal the Springs podcast, where we banter about all things biking in Colorado Springs and the Pikes Peak region. I'm your host, Tori Giffen, and what I don't know about biking in the Springs, my friends do. And here are today's guests. I am so excited to have Ted Havich. I know. I can't believe I've known you for maybe 20 years, and I'm just saying your name right. Did I say it right? Havish. I still murdered it.
It's the Ted part.
I'm sure that is. I am not the first person.
Jerry,
the moonshine only just started flowing here.
This has never happened to me before.
This has never happened to me before. I mean, how on earth,
Tori, thank
Tony,
you for the invite. I really desperately needed this today.
How on earth the owner of Ted's Bicycles is Tony? You know, we should just start there. I mean,
the original guy was Ted, right?
Yeah. The original guy was Ted, and we kept the name. Okay, so we're going to also talk here soon with Alan Beauchamp. He likes to be called a professional people talker. He works with Trails and Open Space Coalition, and he is a longtime fan and customer of Ted's Bike Shop. And then we have Ryan Bennett. He's been the manager for Ted's Bicycles for 3 years now. And I'm so happy to have you guys here as you are like one of the first bike shops that I ever visited when I came to Colorado Springs. Just been a longtime fan. You've helped outfit my kids, my mom, my whole family, I think almost for 2 decades for us. But it's been a lot longer for you. So tell me a little bit, Tony, about your Ted's Bicycles journey. How did it all get started?
Well, it's by the grace of God. It all started when I was a little guy, and I didn't know anything about bicycles. I had cousins, I had friends that would tear hubs apart, and I was just in awe, like, I can't do that. And so I would go to them to get it done. So as time went on, I had a cousin that started his own bike shop. He's an older cousin of mine. And I asked him if I could possibly work in his shop some summer. And he said, well, not this summer, but next summer. So, okay. So at the time, my best friend was working there that I was in awe of being able to service bikes. And I went to work for, his name was Lloyd, his Lloyd's Bike Shop, and that was in Wisconsin. And so that's where I began my first training in bicycles. It's on coaster brakes, 3 speeds. I was a 3-speed expert at that time. Everyone would give them to me. They didn't want to work on them. So then I moved to Colorado, and my brother was out here, so I followed him out. And I had several interests. Bicycles obviously was one of them, and got lost one day, ran across the shop.
Yeah, because it's a little hidden.
It is. It is. It's a little gem.
Hidden gem. Hidden gem, yeah.
Yes. So I stopped in and filled out an app, and Ted at the time needed someone. That was in August of 1976. And a week later, Ted hired me as a mechanic, and things grew from there. Ted has been a huge inspiration for me. Excuse me, both him and his wife, Ruth, and taught me a lot of things. And he helped grow the shop, and I helped him with that. And then he entrusted me to take it over for him. And my wife and I bought it in 1986, 85. And from there, my wife was a huge inspiration for me to continue
Oh, you're making me cry. You're making me cry. I mean, you have so much heart. And I think now as a business owner myself, like being able to have somebody that could take this dream that you built, and be able to carry on that legacy in the way that you have, has to have made Ted so proud, and then what a beautiful family that you were able to raise, and life that you've been able to have, starting the shop as yourself. So how many years now? You are the oldest independently owned bike shop. How many years now since it opened?
So yes, we are in our 52nd year.
52nd year.
Yes.
52nd. And so where does the emotion come from as you talk about Ted and also your late wife?
Yes. Excuse me. Oh, I just, people ask me why I like the business, what drives me. And what drives me is people. I love people. I love making them happy. I love them enjoying their lives, improving their quality of life. Whether it's families, individuals, they all have different purposes for riding. And I want to help them improve and enjoy themselves.
You do that so well. You do that so well. Your life and your shop has been ingrained in my family as well as so many other people in this community. We would have a line out the door if we would have invited all of your fans out here today. But I do know someone who has been a longtime fan along with myself, and just probably can say it better than a lot of us, is Mr. Alan Beauchamp, because you were my first bike club president with the Colorado Springs Cycling Club, I think, when I moved here. And I think as one of my first ride leaders, the one thing I remember that you always did was that you would always visit the local bike shops and make sure that the riders in the group knew, where they could go and get their bike fixed and patronage. And so for all I know, you could have been the one that first took me to Tony Ted's. So tell me a little bit, Alan, about your history with Ted's Bicycles.
Well, I'd like to say CC and I got here as soon as we could to Colorado Springs. That was January of 2001. And at the time, we were a tandem couple. We're still a tandem couple, but it was just, we just rode our tandem bike around, and I rode several other kinds of bikes. And we got to know the community and got passed up a couple different times by this big old gangly group of riders. And they're like, hey, come ride with us. And it was the Colorado Springs Cycling Club. So we were sort of adopted by this club as we were rolling slowly, because we moved here from 28 feet above sea level. And they really became kind of like mentors as far as the local cycling scene, where to go, all the different places you could go on your bicycle. And one of the first shops I heard about was Ted's. And they had been a longtime supporter of everything bicycling in Colorado Springs. And then I also heard about the Starlight Spectacular, this crazy bike ride that started at 2:30 in the morning, conveniently like 5 minutes from our house. And so in 2001, I learned about Ted's Bicycles, and then I learned about Tony and all the support that they had done. I've been involved with the Starlight ever since, and I think that was one of my first impressions of Tony, was a guy that both ran a bike shop and created that kind of community around that, but also was so giving to another organization like the Trails and Open Space Coalition and this wonderful event called the Starlight Spectacular. And then as we rolled forward all together, I became the president from 2004 to 2008 of the Colorado Springs Cycling Club, and learned even more about Tony's deep level of commitment to our community, to all the bike clubs, to Trails and Open Space Coalition still. And so both from a financial point of view, being able to donate things and for giveaways and cash at times, but really the spirit and the heart and soul of what you brought to the table. And it didn't take long, and I started volunteering, because it's sort of what I do, for the Starlight Spectacular. And so every year I've either been a participant, a volunteer, or now over the last few years a staff member. And Tony was instrumental in allowing this event to really flourish. And it was kind of during the heyday, I'd have to say, when we got up to about 1,700 riders or so. But Tony was always, you were like the captain of the event. And we had task staff, and there was other folks that were involved. But I was just always impressed that Tony just had such a command of the entire event, what needed to happen, and then the night of, to see you in action, and just kind of helping to orchestrate all the moving parts for a ride like that for well over 1,000 people at Garden of the Gods. And then I just learned about Bob Telemasi,
Yes.
the big bike giveaway that you've done for years and years and years, and all of the different other organizations that you've provided support for, and all the customers. I have never once heard a bad comment, or even of just like, yeah, that's an okay shop, you know.
Right.
Everybody who ever goes into Ted's and picks up a little part, buys a bicycle, gets their bike serviced, whatever, always speaks very highly of the shop that you've built there and that you guys run on a daily basis. So kudos to that.
I don't even know how to unpack everything that Tony has done in the community, because I also, was struck when I moved here, the bike racks everywhere, the Ted's Bicycle bike racks everywhere. I mean, I couldn't go anywhere and not see, the Ted's Bike Shop bike racks, which, he makes available for a lot of nonprofits at a huge discount. But the Bob Telemase, I mean, you fix bikes all year long.
Yes.
For giving away to kids at Christmas, right?
We do. Yeah. We do. Yes, we get them donated from various sources. Of course, the community, different organizations will contribute. We get help from Leadham's Auto, from Honest Akron Auto, from Napa, numerous other organizations as well. Walmart is one of the entities as well. But it's a huge community event that all gives their part. And thanks to my staff that works with me as well on that. They even though they're getting paid, they put a lot into it during the day as well.
I think it's mind-blowing, honestly, if you think about the legacy that Ted's and Tony has in the community. I mean, you talk about the Starlight Spectacular and really being one of the founders and lead organizers for that event. That event, the Starlight Spectacular, which is an amazing, nighttime ride through Colorado Springs, is that one of the primary fundraisers for the Trails and Open Space Coalition that actually helps, advocate for all things trails and open spaces in the Colorado Springs?
No.
Okay, no, not one of the
That
biggest.
is the primary fundraiser.
Okay.
We do other activities throughout the year, but by far, the Starlight Spectacular is our main fundraiser for the Trails and Open Space Coalition. We could not do what we do on a daily basis without having an event like that. And I just remember when I first heard about it, I was just like so jazzed, because I moved into a town that has a cool, nighttime ride, and then I found out it was 2:30 in the morning and it finished at sunrise. My lovely wife agreed to do it the first year and said, "Yes, honey, that was as magical as you said it was going to be, and I'm never doing it again," because it screwed her up for sleep for about 3 days. But to see the energy and the commitment of all the volunteers and all the different sponsors for that and to be able to support the organization and to see it evolve over the years to become more family friendly, then backing up to midnight and then backing up to 10 p.m. And so that we could even have more people come out, enjoy the garden in such a unique, special way, but then help to raise funds for the Trails and Open Space Coalition. And I know
all the work that does. I mean,
oh my
that is a
goodness.
legacy for ages to come, what Trails and Open Space Coalition has been able to do to help protect and care for our parkways and bike paths and everything. I mean,
and
it's
to be able to host the event in America's #1 park is such a treat that we have, and it's such an honor to be able to do that. But I want to hear about the bike racks.
Yeah. So
No, I want to hear Tony tell about the bike racks.
tell us about the bike racks, Tony.
The bike racks. The bike racks started over 30 years, about 30 years ago. And the manager at the time of Mountain Mamas gave me a call and said, "Would you put a bike rack in front of our store for free if you put your name on it?" And I didn't give him an answer right away. I said, "Let me think about that." And so it took me about a day to figure out that that's probably a good idea. And so I called the back course and told them we would do that. And so I went for about the next 5 years putting in bike racks for free because I would begin to get calls from different businesses and organizations, nonprofits, and would you put a rack in? Would you put a rack in? Sure. So I decided, okay, let's try to weigh the costs a little bit, but still help them out. And so I went from free to just the cost of the rack, and everything else was free: delivery, maintenance, whatever else went with it, setup, install, and so on. And really enjoyed doing that over the years. We currently have about 300 racks or so throughout the community. And
300.
I think there's more than that.
Might have lost track of some.
Well, Ryan, my manager, says there's more than that, so it probably is.
We should make a map.
I remember trying to map
That
it
would be
out, and I was
great.
like, no, this
Who
is going
could
to
do
take too
that?
much time. I'm not doing this. So,
But it's been a fun excursion, if you will. It's just going to different businesses or entities and seeing your rack out there, and which if there are any out there that you all feel should be a little maintained, please give me a call. I don't keep up with them every year.
You're not driving around town inspecting them. So the other thing I wanted to touch on is just all of the event support, because we used to put on the Buena Vista Bike Festival for the Colorado Springs Cycling Club, and I believe we had Tony's bike racks out, or Ted's, same thing. Bike
They're the
racks.
same thing.
Yeah, they're out at Starlight. There's other events and stuff. So how did you get into kind of the event bike racks and things like that? Or
Here's the funny part. When
Yeah.
I said bike racks, those were the ones I was talking about. So on top of his already
Not this-
amazing support for our local businesses
Yes.
and community, and I know that I'm happy every time if I pull up to some place and I'm looking for a place to park and I see a bike rack and it
Yes.
says Ted's, I'm just thinking, thanks, Tony.
yeah.
However, there's another set of racks that not many people know about that have parked thousands of bikes, and I'd love to know about those.
That is the temporary racks that Alan is referring to, and actually that idea started from the Colorado Springs Cycling Club. Mm-hmm. They Bob and Ann Smith were, I think, president at that time. They were at the event out in Buena Vista. It was when the Buena Vista days were going on. Mm-hmm. And anyway, Bob says to me one day, Tony, you got to check this rack out. It's really cool. Events like this, it's a lot easier to haul around than the heavy ones. and so I took a look at it. I said, wow, this is cool. At the time, they were donated these racks from another entity that went away, but they says, here, Cycling Club, they give them to the Colorado Springs Cycling Club at that time. There's like 20 of them or so. Mm-hmm. And so I looked at that, and I says, Bob, that's pretty cool. He says, well, would you like them? And I said, I would. So I took those racks and began to take them to different events. MS 150 also is another event that I've been involved with over the years. And so I took them up with me to use as I was teching and supporting the ride. Well, the director of the ride come around and says, you have any more of those racks? And I told him, I says, I do have more at home or at my shop. And he says, can you get any more than that? I says, well, I tell you what. I says, I'll make them and I'll store them for you. If you and MS paid for the material, and I between my brother and friends, and we all got together one weekend and we made I forget how many racks I have, but as Alan says, there's been thousands of bicycles out there.
Oh, thousands. And then for our listening folks that don't have a good visual for these, I'm intimately familiar with them because I've moved them I don't know how many times, set them up and torn them down. Yeah. But if you would kind of tell them what one of these racks, what does a portable event rack look like?
Portable event rack looks, I call them horses, but they don't look like a horse.
Yeah.
This is true.
Kind of like a sawhorse almost.
Yeah, almost like a sawhorse. So that's kind of where the horse comes in. But so it's a sawhorse, if you will, on two ends of a 9-foot conduit piece of pipe. And so you put them all together, and you can just have continuous bike racks almost forever.
Yes, that's what it feels like in the middle of the night when you're tearing them down at the Starlight
I don't even know where
Spectacular.
you store all these because, one of the things we didn't talk about is where do you find Ted's Bike Shop? I mean, what is the address and location? You're a little tucked into the neighborhood over there.
We're tucked in on the north side of Colorado Springs. That actually the address is 3016 North Hancock Avenue, 1 block north of Fillmore.
And it's a little shop.
It's a little shop. The area, by the way, is called Pape Town.
Pape Town?
Pape Town.
I didn't know that.
Papertown or Pape Town?
Pape Town.
Oh, Pape Town. Okay.
Yes. It goes back to the old mining days, actually, up in that area. Mm-hmm. And we never fell in, but there were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
However, a little history on this little gym on 3016 North Hancock Avenue is the Vanitucci's. I had the pleasure to meet two of the brothers that grew up in the house at the time. And Tony and Nick were their names. Nick was married to Bambi. And
Wait, they grew up?
Yeah, so that house was
That
a
house
house.
was one of
it
the
was the
Vanitucci
Vanitucci's home.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. It just
When-
gets better.
Yes.
When we remodeled the storefront, we pulled up the carpet. It still had the original hardwood in there.
Wow.
Yeah, which
Yes.
is really cool.
That is so, wow, that is historic.
Back in the day, couples would build a small house, and then they would add on to that as they could afford it. The shop has been actually built on 7 different times. There's,
Wow.
they put walls up, and I took them down.
You're one of the hardest working guys that I've ever known. I mean, just constantly in your shop. I mean, over the years, I've just never gone into Ted's and not found Tony. Often I've asked and wondered, do you ride bikes?
That's a very.
Or do you just give joy to everybody else?
That's a very valid question. I have to say, for the most part, I give joy to everyone else.
You do.
I have ridden over the years. I've commuted. I've done century rides. I've ridden in Moab. I've ridden Monarch Crest. Different rides here and there. I've even ridden Palmer Park. but admittedly, I am not a rider. I don't ride as much as most people would think for someone that owned a store.
Well, but you were in your bike shop all the time so that the people out there riding could come in. I mean, you were always there. What's the work philosophy there? I mean, not just the philanthropy, but I mean, like, you worked a lot. Ryan is brand new. He's like 2-3 years old at the right. He's like 2-3 years old at the shop. Is he your first manager?
Actually, he's about 5 years old, but
Oh, okay, 5 years old. He's 5 years old.
3
at your
years
shop.
in management.
3 years in management. But I mean, so how many years total now? That's 76. I'm really bad at math.
47.
So
a lot.
47 years he's been there. You pretty much worked it every day of your 47 years, right? I mean,
Well, since you said 73, right?
76.
Oh,
Okay.
76.
76.
76 is when I went to work for Ted.
but you could pretty much
Ted-
find you in the shop all the time, right?
That's pretty accurate. My past wife could vouch for that. She jokingly said that was my second wife.
I believe it. So, you had the work ethic. How did you end up coming to have a manager in Ryan, or, kind of what's that whole story? You just believed in working in the shop every day?
Well, there's several answers to that question. That first of all, I seen myself in Ryan. Mm-hmm. He has great work ethic.
Wow.
And he's great with people.
You're gonna make me cry.
And as far as where I got my work ethic from, I have to say that was my dad. I grew up in just an all work attitude, and it's not always a good thing. However, it did help me get to where I am today, and my past wife knew I could have stepped away a long time ago. I have had a lot of good staff over the years, and she helped me because of a situation. She helped me step away.
Yeah.
And Ryan has been a blessing to me to take the shop and run with it. And so I've been able to step back, and so you don't see me there as much as you used to.
It's kind of wild.
Okay.
And it's doing great.
Yeah.
It's doing great. Ryan, what does that mean to you?
Sorry.
That's all right.
Yeah, no, it's been good to hear Tony talk and be able to trust me and our staff and be able to run the shop and way it always has, especially with the history of the town. So yeah, it's been awesome. It's been good. It's been fun. I mean, obviously it's challenging always. I mean, bike shop is not an easy industry, or it's like customers needs and demands, and you just gotta try and meet them the best you can. So it's always tough, but it's rewarding and it's fun. So.
I mean, the bicycles changed a little bit, not much over all the years.
I mean,
They got more than 3 speeds now.
yeah, more than 3 gears. Now we're talking about electronic, suspension, e-bikes and everything like that. That's huge right now. So yeah, I mean, bikes are evolving, and it's great. It's getting more people outside. So
trying to stay on top of that. So what kind of are you doing anything new at the shop, or what kind of things has he, is he really let go of the reins and
no. I mean, we definitely, one of the more challenging things in the shop, I would say, is with trying to accommodate so many different type of riders. It's like trying to manage that inventory and have inventory in stock. Yeah. So we're not constantly having, we'll get a special order, and then, what's the point of somebody going online versus coming to a shop?
Right.
Is we have something there ready for you. And that's tricky. And especially with, like I said, all the different style bikes out there, trying to have something available for them. So,
that's amazing. Yeah. So what all does Ted's offer these days?
Yeah, so we're pretty much full service. So we can do everything on your bike. When it comes, I think the most common question, when it comes to e-bikes, we could definitely work on giant motors, electrical, everything like that. But once it's outside of giant, that's the only thing we won't really touch a whole lot is the motors and electrical wiring. But other than that, every other aspect of the e-bike we will touch and do. And, we do suspension services, wheel building, custom frame up builds, whatever it is, we can do it. Mm-hmm. So,
what made you choose Ted's Bike Shop to go to? Yeah.
Yeah, so it's actually those parking racks.
See?
So at the time I was working at Borealis, and winter season was going away, and so I was like, well, I need to transition to a new job, and I saw Ted's was hiring, so I was like, I'll hop on in there, and seen the racks all over the place, and I knew there was a long-standing history in the community, and it's like, yeah, let's see what happens. So, and ended up working there. So
that's great. Well, it's a lot to carry on your shoulders and stuff. What is bike shops have struggled over all these years and
Yep.
stuff, up and down, people buying stuff online and everything. What are some of your biggest challenges in keeping Ted's going for years to come?
I mean, yeah, there's the online aspect, so just make sure we're competitive with that. And I think the biggest thing, like I said, when people come in the shop, having the items that they want and need to fix their bike as well too. So, because it's really easy for somebody to just hop online, but I think also just to provide that more personal touch, that service, and try to make their day easier and find the part right away for them instead of them going online. Because, I mean, you can go online and find 30 different products, and it's like, which one is the right one for me, And I think that's what we're there for.
Yeah, to really help navigate them through a purchase. But
Right.
but then service is huge. I mean, you can buy that bike, but you need, I mean, unless you're going to become a bike mechanic, there's so much to know.
Oh, yeah.
And service is huge. So tell me about the service and your guys, or girls.
Yeah. Right now
People.
is guys. We just lost one of our female workers, but she moved up to Idaho and she's doing great up there. There was just a good opportunity for them, so wish we miss her. So
Yeah. So the technicians that you have there now, I mean, they're I mean, have they been there for a long time? Have you brought
right
in
now,
a new crew? Or?
Yeah, I think right now I'm probably the longest staff member right now. Then PJ would be right behind there. He's pretty much our head tech. He's been in the industry,
30 years.
30 plus.
Since the three speeds.
Yeah.
Probably. He used to be a ex-pro racer. He raced for Kona, so he has a lot of knowledge on a lot of parts and bikes. And JG is another one of our techs. He's a great guy. Also, is a racer too. So we have a lot of experience in what people need. Then also not just only for racing, but just to get you on the road, even if you're just the regular cyclist. So
you guys do a lot of off-season specials? Because, I mean, it slows down, right?
Yes.
It slows down in the off-season. So you guys usually run, like, tune-up specials and things like that.
Right.
Do you guys have some stuff going on that you want to shout out right now?
Of course. Yeah, no, we have.
Or you're
tune-up
staying
specials.
busy right now?
We're actually, I like the pace we're at. Obviously, I always take more, because why not?
That's great.
November's, February's, we always do tune-up specials. Like our most common ones are major tune-up, which is usually $95, and that's $65. And basically, we touch every part of the bike. And it'll be good to go, ready to go. So,
how are bike sales and stuff? Have they slowed down a little bit post-COVID, or is it going as strong as ever?
Yeah, no, bike sales have. I feel like, I mean, you just look at it naturally, it's like, sales have gone down. But I also feel like we're really fortunate here in Colorado. Like, people want to ride their bikes. And so I think we're a little different from other places. So if you look at Southeast or something, or up in the Great Lakes, the bike shops are struggling there.
Now, your beautiful wife is here, by the way.
Yes.
I wanted to say she's back in the corner there, but has the bike shop become his second wife also?
That was unfair. That was unfair.
Or are they keeping a good balance?
I would say he's trying.
He's trying.
Really good balance.
To have a good balance.
I really admire what he does, and support Cody too.
Yeah.
I have a new e-bike that I got from the shop.
Woohoo, we love e-bikes.
Yeah, so I'm 7 months pregnant. And
Congratulations.
that bike has been incredible for me to be able to keep getting out. And I
exercising.
have someone that maintenance it.
That's great, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I wouldn't say it's his second wife. I'd say I get to see him pretty.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Keeping the good balance.
Yeah.
And so I'm very proud of you for taking a step back and getting out and enjoying life. It sounds like you're doing a lot of visiting family and, just kind of having your own adventures these days a little bit more.
I am. I do still do the administrative part of the shop. but I'm able to do that remotely. And but yes, family. I'm spending a lot of time with family and friends, and something that I didn't do a whole lot over the years. And I guess in one way I'm making up for it now. I've been back to Wisconsin a couple of times, actually, for family again, of different weddings and so on. And but yes, I still enjoy going down to the shop, but I'm just not there from day-to-day operations, if you will, and still love the industry. That hasn't lost me, but I have stepped back a little bit.
That's great. That's really good. And you're keeping Ted's going. So what is the plan for Ted's?
The plan for Ted's is to keep going.
That's fantastic. That's good news.
Yeah.
And I have a great manager to do that for me.
That is good news. So we go a little bit back, and from when I was towing my kids on their bicycles, and you were my closest bike shop to where I was raising my kids, so we'd ride up there a bit. But you've, like I said, you'd outfitted my mother and stuff like that. But you were also one of my first supporters. I knew you from supporting Buena Vista Bike Festival and the bike racks. Then I started that Chick-fil-A cycling club, and then I remember telling you about this bicycle resort idea that I had, and I started the bike club out of there, my own bike club. It was amazing. The Buffalo Lodge Bike Tribe started it there, and you would come like every Saturday and offer the maintenance check for the bike check before our ride. So, because one of the things I've definitely learned over the years is a lot of people show up to group rides and they have not inspected their bike. They haven't ridden it in a while. They don't have water helmets. They've got it flat, and you were there to help launch us there, and so many events and stuff. So talk a little bit about me.
Well, speaking of you, girl, we could be here another hour.
I hope you have a lot of hard drive space.
Our relationship over the years, what have you seen?
Sorry, I can remember first meeting you and the riding, the energy that you have. I mean, it's bypassed the bunny.
That's the Energizer Bunny. Yeah.
You need a shirt.
I should classify that, yes, the Energizer Bunny. No, when you shared your vision with me of the Buffalo Lodge, I won't say I didn't have any doubt, but I will say I had the most confidence in you. The doubt part was it was a huge undertaking. Yeah. It wasn't any doubt in you. That was in what you have done with that resort and what you have done for the community through that resort. It's just been wonderful, Tori. You just keep going, and you just keep adding things, and you're doing a wonderful job. And you even manage to step away once in a while.
I do. With your family and stuff, at some point something might happen, getting sick and having a family member sick, that makes you realize that it cannot be all about work, that you've got to be able to find that balance and stuff, in order to really make the work worth it. You have to actually get out and enjoy it once in a while and the fruits of your labor. So I've been learning that lesson, even though it's a lot. It's hard to step away. It's hard to turn over reins and everything. So, but you've been such a great supporter, and it's just been amazing. But I knew, since you knew me when, that you might have something to say about me.
I'm sorry I hadn't mentioned anything sooner.
No, you're great. You're great. But I've had great role models. I mean, I think I'm truly inspired by the other just inspiring people in this community. Susan Davies for Trails and Open Space Coalition. We know the nonprofit world is not, an easy, it's not a huge profit,
It's called nonprofit.
Yeah, it's nonprofit. It really becomes a labor of love. And when you see people like that, when you see bike shop owners, like you and some of the other bike shop owners in town, we want to talk to John Crandall also.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked to Nick, but I think that it's so important, just one, what is your give back to the community? I mean, you can see that one person can make such a big difference, from every bicycle you sell to, every bike rack that helps support it, to every kid that gets a bicycle at the Bob Talamase. I mean, one life can have such a huge impact, and biking actually can make a huge difference in a community for building community. And I think it's amazing, and I just wanted to be a part of it, from everything that you guys have done. So what am I missing anything in my Tony Ted story?
Your Tony Ted or Ted Tony story.
Ted
You just
Tony
never really
story.
know.
Ted Tony story.
One of the things is, over 20 years ago, I just remember being so impressed by Tony and just all the stuff you were doing. And as I became more involved with the Bicycle Club and some of the activities and the Starlight Spectacular, you were just ever present, and he was always willing to just get it done and roll up his sleeves and whatever it needed. And so I started saying, when I grow up, I want to be just like Tony. That was over 20 years ago, and every year I say the same exact thing, and it has not changed once. And so just a way of honoring you, and now you, with all the work that you both do to inspire and support our community, all the different people that ride. And I like how you point out, Tony, for every reason. Because everybody's got a different reason for getting on a bike. Mine is that every time I get on my darn bike, I'm 5 years old again. And it's just that sense of exploration and just getting out in the freedom. And so just all the work that you both do and have done over the years, creating support for everybody that wants to do that. And I truly believe you've built a better community because of it.
Well, likewise to you, my friend. I mean, president of the cycling club. They call you Mr. Bicycle here in Colorado Springs. You literally taught my children how to ride a bike and get the training wheels off, and help Daniel pick his first bike. I mean, this community has such a heart, and it's just so beautifully displayed through the bicycle. So, what else would you have to say about?
Well, I've customers like Alan. I've given kudos to my manager. I've given kudos to you, Tori.
I asked for it. I'm just like that.
I feel I need to give kudos to my customers like Alan, and because we wouldn't be here without the customer, and the customer supported us obviously throughout the years, and it's been very much appreciated, obviously. But it's the you say the family that I raised. I never actually had kids, but the customers are my family as well, and we love you all.
You have kids. You have kids.
You have my kids. You have my kids. You have the community's kids. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh.
I do not feel that we talked enough about Starlight Spectacular as I sit here and ponder things. I am curious, how did that happen? How did you get involved with that? And what is going on? And what is going on with Starlight Spectacular today? Because we'll just give a shout out so everybody knows about this amazing event. I mean, my kids and I participated that for years. I mean, they love staying up overnight and riding a bike in the dark with a bunch of sparkly lights and people with crazy costumes. I mean, you and Al Brody and like all the cast of
pirate
characters.
years were my favorite.
Yeah, all the cast of characters that come out for this ride and were involved in this ride. I mean, it was just like, those are magic memories for my family. So how did all that start?
Well, that was a while back also. But it all started with a group of about 4 people getting together. There was Neil Kovac, there was Richard Stetler, there was Vern Dreyer, there was Dan, with who at the time was director of the Trails and Open Space Coalition. We all got together, and they invited me as well, obviously, and it was kind of like the bike rack. They says, "You think this is a good idea?"
Hey, we want to put on a bike ride and raise some money for the trails organization in town. Is the story that I got.
Yeah.
But
the caveat of it all is we want it at 2:30 in the morning.
Why?
We wanted a ride.
Why?
Well, there was one main reason. There was however many different umpteen rides at that time. Everyone had a ride for everything. And it's like, oh, one more ride. And don't mean to put it that way, but it was like, what can be different about this ride?
Mm-hmm.
And it turned into a midnight ride, or, well, 2:30 in the morning ride. But it's...
A little beyond midnight.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Beyond midnight.
because you'd finish as the sun was coming up.
Okay.
Yes, the sun coming up. A few years down the road, it was still that idea, but we wanted to see the sun coming up on the Kissing Camels.
Yep.
Because the started in Memorial Park, and then we moved it to Garden of the Gods, like 3 years later, something like that, 3-4 years later, and which was cool. Just to be there to see that sun just peeking on the Kissing Camels, it was just that's obviously an awe.
What does that mean to you? I mean, you've got the legacy with the bike racks, the legacy with the Starlight Spectacular, the legacy with the shop with Bob Telemase. I mean, I think that we could rank you up there with the Vinatucci's, with, maybe the Penroses also. I don't know. Maybe with the founder. I mean, I think that you have left an amazing legacy for our community through your efforts and your bike shop and everything. Thank you.
You're welcome, Tori.
I'm going to make him cry again. Thank you.
I can't... I appreciate the comments. It's very humbling to hear those. I couldn't do it, though, without great staff, great customers, great support of the community in general, even like businesses like yourself. You support a lot of businesses. It's not about you. And I
just follow suit. I bring all my bike rides by at least a few times a year to come visit you and make sure that they know where your shop is.
Oh, yeah.
But it's as the saying goes, it takes a how's the saying go? It takes a village.
It takes a village.
It takes a village.
And then, as our friend Joan Stang likes to say, and I've definitely adopted this one from her, teamwork makes the dream work.
Yes.
It does.
And everything you have been involved with, you embody that from the moment you hit the ground, and you lead by example, and I appreciate that.
Thank you,
Ellen.
Tony. Thank you guys so much for being here.
Thanks,
and
Brian.
thank you for listening to Pedal the Springs podcast on Studio 809. Be sure to check out the show notes for the links that we mentioned in this episode, and also hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And be sure to check out our other fine podcasts at studio809podcast.com, your voices of the Pikes Peak region. Pedal the Springs podcast is brought to you by Studio 809 Podcast and presented by the Buffalo Lodge Bicycle Resort, the only bike-themed lodging and must-stay for cyclists coming to Colorado Springs. Check us out at bicycleresort.com.
And I'm glad you're wrapping up, because I've got a bike in the back of my van that's got this clunk that I can't quite figure out, so I'm taking
We got to go ride. It's like the last beautiful day for a while.
I'm going to the shop right after this.
All right. See you later.